Hey, good evening, Giants. I had a thought that I wanted to share tonight, so I want to jump into that a little bit. Hopefully, you guys can hear me okay. Um, in my story, The Giants and the Smalls, I want to talk about the segment where Rit is deciding, he sees the Giants up in the air. Um, Hopefully, that light's not too bad there. But he sees the Giants up above him, right? And he's like, man, that's amazing. Why are there Giants? Why are they so much bigger than me? Why are they living these big giant lives while I'm living this small one, right? After he sees that, he starts to have hope and visions and dreams about what's possible. He wants to find out. It's not that he has hopes and dreams and visions. He just wants to find out what's possible for him. Is it possible for him to become a giant? Is it possible for him to grow? And as he shares with others, there's some people that come on and they're really negative. There are smalls in this story for a reason. There are people in this world who can make you feel down and that you can't do things, and that are somewhat negative, right? And what I love about Rit in this story is that Rit chooses to, in a sense, ignore what they have to say. So the Rits, the Smalls all say, look, you can't do this. Nobody can do this. Smalls can't become giants. Giants are giants. It's the way it's always been. It's the way it will always be. And if Rit had gotten involved or spun up in their stories about what was possible, he would have let go of his dream. And I think that's pretty common, is that we get excited about something that we're building, we're moving along, we're having success, and then somebody comes along and does something that's really negative. And it does occur. We would be deluded to think that that does not occur, but there were people that we might be close to that would come along and say things that would be hurtful or harmful, or do things that are hurtful and harmful, and we give up on our dreams. And we start to internalize that as though it's us, and it's not, it's them. And so what Rit chose to do was to ignore that. And so he went on his journey to find a giant, to discover his giant self, and to stick with his dream and his goal and his quest, despite all of that. And so there's a chance that, there's a quote. Let me just say it this way: you can't heal in the environment that made you sick. Have you guys heard that? You can't heal in the environment that made you sick. So if you're trying to heal your life and you're in an environment that's really negative and down, and you stay in that, it's really hard to heal. I think of the rat park experiment, where they had rats addicted to heroin, and they were isolated and alone, and the only choice they had between food and drink was heroin or water, and they chose the heroin because they were alone and bored and sad and all these things. But as soon as they introduced them into a new environment, a new park, a new area, they thrived. They didn't go back to the heroin. If you get a chance, look up the rat park experiment and take a look at that, and just kind of apply that story to your life. They had to pull those rats out of that environment and put them into a new environment for them to thrive. And so if we're in an environment, kind of like Rit in my story, that's real negative, he had to walk away from that and move into a new environment that was healthy for him so that he could grow. And so he took his chance, and he went out and he found somebody, a mentor. I've got Steve Hardison. How are you? This guy that's watching right now is the mentor that I looked to when I wrote the story of Remy the giant. So Rit goes out and he finds a mentor, somebody to look up to that helps him feel and see his value. And then he lives into it and he works for it. It isn't just handed to him. He works for it and he becomes a giant. He is a giant. Thank you, Steve. It's good to see you. If you're in an environment that you're struggling in and you're really having a hard time, remember this, that there are people that are going to do that. And it's up to you to choose how you're going to be inside of that. So you can choose to stay and become a part of that and let that be you, or you can move on and surround yourself with other people that are growing and building themselves up, and that can show you how to become that. And you can start to step into that. You don't have to trade your dreams. You might be tired. You might be exhausted. I remember in the story that Rit was exhausted. He went home and slept, and he had giant dreams. And the next morning he grew and he got bigger, right? But it was that change that he needed. He had to get away first to start growing. Hi, Saskia. Good to see you. He had to get away from the environment first to start growing. That's not always the case, but it can be helpful. And so if you're in that space where you're surrounded by smalls, in a sense, according to the story, and you're struggling with your self-value, maybe step aside for a minute, notice your value, recognize it, and take a quest to step into it, to grow and to become who you're capable of becoming. Even in times like this, I see what's going on in our world, and it would be easy to get spun up and involved in this world and make it a part of you. It doesn't have to become a part of you. You can step aside. And so I know there's somebody watching this video that needs this message tonight, and I want you to hear that you're not doing anything wrong. You got triggered, and so you can step away from that and still be the person that you want to be and continue down that path. And so hopefully this is helpful for you. Regardless of what's going on around you, you can choose to become your environment, or you can choose to step out of that environment to grow. So hopefully that's a helpful message tonight. You guys make it a great evening. Do you have any comments or questions before I jump off? What's up, Ty? Hope you guys are safe in Hawaii. Man, just amazing times, interesting times. You know, it's interesting to see how we're all growing through this. So you guys go make it a great evening. If you haven't got the book yet, go grab the book. You can grab it for $1 on the website right now, so you can read the story. I feel like you need to read that story. You have access to the Kickstarter still. So if you haven't contributed there, please go do that. And then watch for our show every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. We're going to do our show. We'll have guests on. So we've got a great guest coming on this Sunday. So you guys make it a great night. Ty, it's good to see you. And I'll see you guys on the next video.